to our subcommittee members. The next step in building a budget that we strongly believe is financially sound and maintains the commitments that we have made to islands. And Bob's going to talk a little bit about those commitments.
Yes, and this budget does maintain the commitments we made last year, where we have we're trying to get 25th in the nation in K-12 teacher salaries. We're moving forward on preschool. We're doing allowable growth for schools. We're doing a number of other investments. Moving forward with the out-of-pocket fund. We're moving forward with measures to protect the environment, health care, and of course job creation. So we're moving forward with all our commitments we made last year, and this is a continuation of that. That's all contained in this budget.
We'll be happy to take your question. Let me add a couple of things. If Republicans, last year Republicans attempted to put together a balance sheet that they made up out of whole cloth. This is not a balance sheet. There's not a balance sheet together. This is the targets for the individual budget subcommittees. So it doesn't include standings, and it does not include a balance sheet at this point. So these are the targets. They're fiscally, they're tight targets. Our budget subcommittees it's going to be work for them to meet these targets, but we're confident they'll be able to do it.
And it's roughly half the state budget.
Roughly, yeah. A little more.
What are you being a little bit, when you say these are the budget targets for half the budget? What about the rest?
That's correct. Yeah.
What about the rest?
Stay tuned.
It's the next step in the process. It is a process.
So you have not made decisions yet about the governor's items regarding additional revenue?
We're not moving forward in the two main items that he talked about, combined reporting and then the bottle deposit. Those are not included as revenues in this budget.
And you will not do them?
That's correct.
Senator Rostow, could you?
That's correct. I'd also say, I mean, there's been speculation that we would dip into the reserve fund. We do not dip into the reserve fund.
Well, what about the revenue source?
And we are on the governor's two main revenue sources, the bottle bill mechanism and the combined reporting. That is not in this budget. We are going to do the enhanced court collections. That's about $18 million. I think it's $8 million this year and $10 million a year ongoing. We do the treasurer's, the governor's budget had the treasurer's gift card recommendations in for $5 million. We want to do that as well, although our number's a little more conservative. We think it's $3 million that we can generate from that.
In regard to the bottle bill, what turned the tide against
as I've said many times, I don't think we did not see the legislature reaching consensus on an approach to those issues. We saw a lot of people concerned about those issues, a lot of different angles, a lot of different pieces to it. But when it was all said and done, I don't think there was a way to reach consensus in the legislature. A lot of people would like to change the law. Nobody, but there isn't 26 votes for any particular change in the Senate. There's probably 10 votes for 6 different versions of change to the bottle bill.
So the governor's desire to have more drink containers covered by the nickel deposit even is dead?
At this point, I think it's unlikely, but our committee members are still looking at those things.
And just to be clear, combined reporting is not part of this half of the budget and will not be part of the next half of the budget and will not be part of your budget?
No, it is not part of our budget.
So we'll come up at all this year, period?
That's correct.
And the same with, likely with the bottle bill?
That's correct.
Have you communicated that to the governor, his reaction?
We briefed the governor's office, his staff, about this. We've had ongoing discussions with the governor about some of our approaches to this budget, and those are ongoing. I think I think in a lot of ways we're not very far away from the governor overall on this budget.
And what was the turning point or the thing that made you decide not to do combined reporting?
I think a belief that there probably are 26 votes or 51 votes.
Are there any other spending initiatives, major things in the governor's budget you're not including this time around?
Well, one of the things we're doing is we're releasing these targets, and then each individual appropriate subcommittee has a target. They can work within that target, and as they governor's initiatives, that's fine, but they need to work within their targets.
If we're done with spending targets, what do we got next week?
We obviously, there's some breaking news this morning. With our committee chairs, we like to use carrots and not sticks. But we do have House rules, and when you have, there's two types of bills: controversial bills, big bills, or non-controversial bills. When you have a controversial big bill, it's the duty of the floor manager to make sure that their amendments get filed in a timely fashion. That did not happen on the smoking bill today, and so we are rescheduling that debate, so we are in compliance with House rules, and to send a message to our floor managers that when they have big controversial bills, make sure your ducks are in order and that you're in compliance with House rules. And so we will be having the continued caucusing on that issue, and be something that we hope to have debate on in the very near future, perhaps as early as early next week on the smoking ban bill.
The rumor is that Grace was going to get you were going to get unanimous consent to be able to debate that, and maybe there's another reason why you're unanimous.
Yeah, he had offered unanimous consent to suspend House rules. This is more of an enforcement mechanism, the gentle chiding of our committee chair.
Michael, what about you?
We're gonna mostly be working on the budget issues in our budget subcommittees as we work on. Let me also add, on a series of fiscal criticisms of past budgets in the legislature, we think this budget has significant improvements to what we've had in past years. The reserve funds are full. The cash reserve fund is full. The economic emergency fund is full. This budget anticipates $193 million in the senior living trust fund. We pay for more of the property tax credits out of the general fund than out of the ending balance. On every criticism that's been leveled at budgets, this is the best in this century. This is the best since 2000 budget in terms of those fiscal measures. So I think we're taking a very responsible approach to this budget, and our members are going to work through that.
Will you fund REAP?
Will we
The
fund
bond bill
REAP?
would have
Of
funneled
course we will
Well,
fund REAP. At what level is up to the subcommittee. They have a target, they need to reach that target. Inside that target, we don't care a lot what they do. Obviously we care, but they have to construct a budget that works within the targets they've been given.
The governor's proposal, though, with the bottle bill would have funneled some more money into REAP. Will you try to make that up in any way?
We will encourage the committee to do what they can to appropriately fund REAP.
One announcement, there's already been some news stories on it. We are looking at this afternoon, it will be a non-controversial bill, bringing up a incentive package. We are one of, it looks like a couple states competing for a major investment from Microsoft. Could be as much as $1 billion. And we very likely are going to be bringing that up this afternoon at 1 o'clock to be debating that in the House as we try to compete for these jobs and this investment.
Can you talk about that package at all?
Not really. To be honest with you, I'm not the expert on it. I just know generally the concept. In terms of, it's very, very similar in nature to the web portal bill that we passed last session, which helped lure Google to establish a pretty significant presence at Council Bluffs. It's virtually identical to that incentive package.
Does this feel like how many locations do you think are in the mix there? Do you all have a sense of that?
No, just rumors, to be frank with you. They keep things pretty close to the rest. We know that there's a couple locations we're looking at in terms of states. We're one of those. And if we do this package, we have at least a reasonable basis to believe that they will come to Iowa. And I think they have a couple central Iowa locations we're looking at.
Why do you think Iowa has an inside track over these other states?
Good infrastructure, good power capacity. The power station in Council Bluffs, I believe, is using about 40% capacity of the
Not quite. They could eventually get to that. But I think it's also Iowa has a well-educated workforce. Our citizens can read and write. We have a high worker productivity in this state. So I think it's a mix of the appropriate infrastructure to support it, and the infrastructure for these operations is a stable supply.